G'day everyone, welcome back to another Sophisticated Bogan. Today we are doing something a little bit different. I like to be able to help people out, as anyone who knows me would be able to verify. So what we are doing today in this episode, we are working on a Triumph Sprint. So let me just step back a bit. Right, so for this one we're going to be doing a service, so oil change, spark plugs, all that kind of stuff. Oil filter. So also want to go through and see what's going on for the electrics for the indicators, and also we have a switch block to change as well. Another thing we're going to be doing is getting all the fuel out of the tank, so then that we can put some fresh fuel into it. Alrighty, in this one, helping a mate, his name's Paul. Met him at some of the meets. Top bloke, bloody top bloke. He's got a few bikes, so yeah, I'm just happy to be working on a bike. Always happy. Alright, so let's get cracking, shall we? Alright, so what I'm going to be doing first is I'm going to get the side fairings off, just so I can do an inspection, as the bike has been sitting for about 2.5 years. So I want to make sure that everything is okay for when Paul gets the bike back out on the road. Make sure that everything is good for him, and it's going to be safe and all that kind of stuff. Alright, so let's get these side fairings off. Alright, let's get on the other side, get them undone. I just left this top one on here just to hold it, and then yeah, I'll hop on the other side and let that down. Right, so I think it's still attached down here. So yeah, so I'm going to take these side pieces off, get the side panels off. Looks like these go on after the tray. Alright, so I'll take them off. So there we go. That's what I was expecting to find. Right. So that's why I said that these are most likely put on before the top, because there's a bolt underneath it. Right. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, the tank and air box has definitely got to come off so that I can get to the spark plugs, which I thought was going to be like that. On my R1s, I can generally sometimes get to them from the front, because on an R1 they're slanted more, so you can actually get to the tops a bit easier. But that's not, won't be why it's done like that, but yeah. Alright, so let's keep on cracking. Alright. So he is missing some fasteners. Missing the one from on the bottom here. Yeah, we'll just keep on going through everything, and yeah, just check everything, make sure everything's good. Last thing I want to do is for one of my mates to be out on the road and something I didn't check, and then something happens. So always make sure, double check, triple check everything. Especially when it comes to bikes, because the amount of things that I've seen when out on the road, going to ride groups and that kind of stuff, and people just not using their heads, pretty much. You can't take chances on sports bikes or any bike. It's just not smart. Alright, so we now have the side and bottom tray off. So I'll just run around with the camera and show you guys what we've got going on. Alrighty, so we have all the sides and everything off. So I just want to go over stuff, as I said just before, just to make sure everything's all good. So the next thing we'll be doing from here will be to drop the oil out. because while that's draining out, we can get onto other stuff, and then we can move on to getting it bunked back, like the sump plug, and filter it back in, all that jazz. Alright, so got bottom tray with the right hand side and the left hand side. So I just want to move stuff out now so that I can clear space, so that I've got space to work in, and then we'll keep on cracking. I'll tell you what, peeps, like, how cool is this? I'd love to be able to work on my bike in an area like this. I can do all my editing, all that kind of stuff. I'll get there, guys, I'll get there. So, alright. Okay, so if anyone's curious of what we're putting in, Paul's got himself some modal, as well as NGK spark plugs and a high flow filter. Not too bad stuff. I haven't used modal before, I don't think. I normally use Penrite and stuff like that. NGK, yeah, I use them. For my fast R1 though, I couldn't just use any plug. Oh yeah, and some people cannot fathom or believe that my Blue R1 had 220 horsepower. Guys, it's called a built engine. It's the fastest bike I've ever ridden was my Blue R1. 114 foot-pounds of torque and 220 horsepower. You guys can, anyone who wants it can, not believe, I don't really care. But man, that thing was fast. And I've had a few R1s, and no other R1 could even touch this bike. It was phenomenal. Anyway, let's keep on cracking, eh? Alright, so I just want to have a look at, Paul's bought himself a service manual, just to sort of help himself out a bit. Well, obviously before I was going to be doing this for him. So I just want to see what its capacity is. You can over and underfill these, or any engine, considering it's a sealed system. If you put too much in a pressurized sealed system, well, you're going to have a bad time. So always make sure that you're putting the right amount. Just so people are aware too, there's an amount for when you're doing it with the filter, like when you're changing the filter, and there's also an amount for when you're leaving the filter. So always be sure that you are putting in the right amount for the application that you're doing. It's for an old girl, not looking too bad, eh? Like my ZX9R was in way worse shape than this, and they're around the same age. I think this is a 99. Yeah, it's a January 99 model. Yeah, it's very interesting. The engine looks like it's from the 80s. Just the way that it's all sort of been done, or late 90s maybe. Not late, early 90s maybe, is what I was sort of thinking. But yeah, tripped out that it's got an oil cooler. Yeah, fair enough. Alright, quit this jibber jabbering and get cracking. So, a lot of the ones that I do take about, I don't know, 3.3 litres on average. 3.2 litres. This takes 4. So that's the amount for when you're doing it with the oil filter change. So, yeah. So without doing the oil filter, I'd imagine it'd probably be around about maybe 3.7, maybe. Maybe 3.8. That's probably what it'd be, sort of without changing the filter as well. Alright, wow, that's a lot more than I thought. Alright, so as I said, we're going to get this. Alright, so we're going to get. Put that back up there. Yeah, so we're going to get this all changed. Grab my pan. And grab me sockets and all that kind of stuff so I can undo it and get the oil out. Well, the oil looks pretty good, but oil does degrade. So even when it's sitting and not doing anything, it starts to break down. That is some pretty clean oil. Alright, so we let that drain and we move on to other stuff. So, yeah, good thing. I'm going to have to take the tail off as well so I can get onto there. Yeah, so because it's a complete style side, so you know where the tail goes all the way along to the front. Most of them sort of stop about here, and you might have a little sort of mid piece here and then the tank. So yeah, I've got to get the sides out of the way. Oh, no, I should be okay. Just undo this bolt and that bolt. I should be right. It'll have like a little clip in there, like a little pressure clip. Yeah, so just so you can get a little bit more movement. Alright, so you see, that's what I was talking about. Alright, get this other side off, and then I should be able to lift the tank up. Also got to see if it's got a fuel tap or not. Okay, so just suggestions, if you're ever going to fix a broken section, and if you're going to use glue, maybe like that was obviously sitting like that, and then they've just glued it together. I don't think this was Paul. I don't think he's had it apart that far. I reckon this is the previous owner. So what's happened there is that they've glued it back together with that still most likely bolted in place, and all the glue, as you can see, has stuck to that. So what I'm going to do for Paul is when I come back again, I'll bring my plastic welder with me and we'll actually weld that back up, and I'll bring some paint as well, so that's all looking nice. Yeah, it's just one of those things, I'm afraid. Old bikes, fun games. Another thing I'm going to do is I've got to empty this fuel out before I take the tank off. Let's do that. Alright, so that's the tank out of the way. So all I've got to do now is to move the airbox, which seems to be missing some stuff. So yeah, so I've got to see where it all comes apart. Not all airboxes are the same. They're all pretty straightforward though. So some of them, what you have to do is you've got to go inside them. So you'll have to take the filter out to be able to get to the housing, to get to where they are connected on. Sometimes they're sort of little extra brackets and stuff. Like mine, for example, you know, it's like 3 or 4 pieces, and it just sort of builds up onto itself. Where this one is more of a compartmental, I guess. Alright, let's crack on, get that off, and then I need to have a quick break. Another little service I'm going to do for Paul is I'm going to service his filter. So K&N filters, they are cleanable, so you can continue reusing them. So it looks like it's a bit fouled, so I'll take that home with me, and I'll clean that up at home and then bring it back for Paul. Alright, let's keep on cracking, eh? So yeah, I'll have to show Paul that, so you can replace things that he needs to get. So what these are generally are vacuum lines, or yeah, they're vacuum type of lines. So that's obviously what's controlling that. So if you're ever doing like mate stuff, or so whether it be like a client, customer, whatever, if you ever find stuff, make sure that you let them know as you go. It gives them a bit of a heads up of stuff anyway, and yeah, lets them sort of know what's going on. Alright, so I'll get Paul down and I'll let him know. So, there's definitely going to be a multi-day job. because my 19mm spark plug socket doesn't fit down this tube. So I'll have to come back the next day that Paul's free for me to come do work on his bike. So I have to grab my other socket, other spark plug socket. Triumph things, eh? Yeah, they like to make things interesting. Alright, so move on to getting other stuff done now. So we'll probably move on to getting the switch blocks changed over and get that in for him. Alright, let's crack on with that. Alright, so I have to undo the bolts for the lever so that I can get to the screws that sit on the back of this. Unless these ones are on the bottom. No, they're on the back. Yep. There's one there and there's one just below it, which is about just there. So I need to move the lever out of the way. So undo the bolts, and that way I can undo the bolts, so then I can just move this lever. Alright, let's crack on. Okay, now we have the nose off, so now I can get to the plug wires for the switch block. Alrighty, let's crack on. Alright folks, that's it for this one. I'm going to be making this to a part 1, part 2. There's quite a bit of footage, so there will be more videos on Paul's bike because there's more stuff that he'd like me to do for it. If you guys are enjoying the series or just enjoying the channel, make sure you hit like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. I hope you guys had an awesome Christmas and I hope you have an awesome New Year's. Yeah, see you in the next one guys. Cheers.